Okay, hopefully third time's a charm, because I have tried to do this and now I've resorted to being on my phone because the video got cut out both times I did it before. So I'm going to start over. And this is the Soulcast for July. I'm so excited to be here with you today. In case you're new to me, my name is Donnell, and I work with people around on the topic of, I should say, embodied soul leadership. I mentor women to really see life through the lens and perspective of their soul, their gifts, their purpose, all that fun stuff. And I'm here today to do the Soulcast and energy report. Like I said, this is going to be the second time I'm doing it. So some of the cards I've already pulled, I already kind of know the energy. What I was saying earlier, so I'm just going to get right into it. That July is the card that I pulled for it earlier. It's called Spiritual Strength. So July is an opportunity for us to really find our center. And if you've been kind of following my forecast, I've been talking a lot about resiliency and how when we have our center, it gives us the opportunity to really be able to not get swayed and pulled in every different direction. Because if you've noticed, there's been some form or element of chaos in the outside world that's been constantly trying to grab our attention and take us in different directions. And if you're trying to, it's not about being an ostrich with your head in the sand, but it's also not about letting every single thing pull you into division and not being able to focus on how you can move forward in your life. Because there's so much playing out right now in the collective, and some of it's very difficult. I don't care what side of the fence you're on. It's challenging times. And so taking that into just understanding that. And when it comes to the Spiritual Strength card, that's the card I pulled for the month. It's a 9 card. So it means that in some ways there might be some lessons coming to completion. There are things that you've probably been working on that have required your strength. And this is a card that's like, keep going. Like you're almost there. Like you have the energy to do it. You have this is where you really have to be resourced from within. A lot of us are so used to getting our answers in the outside world, but this is a month to really go internal. It's the Cancer mansion that we're in astrology, and Cancer is all about family, home, being able to mother ourselves. And so what does it look like to really be able to mother you and nurture and take care of yourself so that you feel nurtured, so that you can move through all of the things that are happening right now in your life. So Spiritual Strength is about finding your core and not letting everything just throw you off, center. As well, it feels like I was saying earlier that there might be some projects for you that you might be that you've been that have been in the works. And this is the card that's saying don't give up now. Don't quit before the miracle comes, because Spiritual Strength, it requires us to see and trust in the unseen, which is faith, right? Having faith and trust and allowing things to move in your reality so that you can get to your desired outcome. Because you may have something that you're working on or towards, and this is a month where you'll get glimpses that you're on the right track. And there might be times when you're facing a little bit resistance, and the message with the resistance is to surrender. So I had an experience yesterday that I really feel like sums up Spiritual Strength right now, and it's kind of funny, but I went yesterday to a breathwork place that is in Carlsbad in California. It's called Breathe, and you do a breathwork class, and then you go do a cold plunge. I don't know if you've ever done a cold plunge before, but oh my goodness. Oh, okay. So 42 degree water. And I went to go get in the water. And when I'd never done anything like that before. I've gone in, recently I was in Idaho and I went to a very cold lake with my boyfriend, but this was completely different because you submerge yourself and then you're in there for about 3 minutes. And when I went into the cold water, I immediately, my brain came up with every reason why I needed to like abort the mission, like eject myself from that situation. My mind was like, get me out of here. Why am I doing this? Like, this isn't going to work. I can't see this through. So I want you to notice in your life where you may have that storyline playing out, where you go into fear or you feel the resistance of moving towards your dream or the thing that you desire, or the things that you've been working on. And there's like some story that comes in when it gets hard that I can't do this. And for me, yesterday, I started to kind of, my breath got really labored. I was like, oh my God. And it was fascinating to me because the instructor came up and he put his hands on my shoulders. And it comforted me, but it was kind of like, I felt like that energy reminded me of the divine. So whether you believe in God, source, universe, we are supported. Even though you can't see the support, we are supported. I have enough faith for you and me both to remind you of that. And so when your mind goes into I can't do this, I can't get through this, I can't finish this, or I want to give up, or whatever it may be, remembering that you can do this. And for me, it was finding my breath and my center. Like I really had to go into this space of taking deep breaths and just like finding the rhythm. And my breath was what got my spirit back into my body, because it was almost like I wanted to disassociate. So with everything that's happening right now, in reality, there might be a part of you that's like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be a part of this, or I want to disassociate, or I don't want to pay attention. My nervous system can only take so much. Honor that. If your nervous system can only take so much, then don't like take a step away, but find your center through your breath. Okay. Because July is going to require you to have a space of trust, surrender, and allowing things to move in the environment. Because I feel like there's this kind of, it may seem like things aren't going to initially go your way, but it's not that that's happening. It's just things are getting rearranged so that everything can work itself out. So that's kind of what we're working with. Hey, Letty, that's what we're working with for overall for July. And then we come into the first week, which is the week of the 4th. And so, which is coming right around the corner on Monday. And it's interesting being, you know, if you're in the United States and just everything that's been happening in the US. And I was saying this earlier, that when me goes through a dark night of the soul, that's challenging in of itself, right? And what do you go through a dark night of the soul for? You go because something in your life isn't working, and there's some sort of crisis or some sort of thing that comes about that's going to help you get to the next level, right? And you have to go into, it's almost like going into a dark cave. It's like, oh, I got to go in the cave and I got to like figure out what's happening, because if I just kind of like flail around and keep going the way I've been doing, I'm going to create more suffering. Well, what's happening right now on the planet with everything is that it's like the United States, July 4th, the birthday of the United States, is having its own dark night of the soul. There's chaotic stuff that's happening. The shadow is very prominent right now. Things are shifting. So if you could see it from a point of elevation, like spiritual elevation, and what that means to me is that these things have to happen in order for change to be instigated, to be started, for the shifts to come. Things aren't working right as they are. So in order for things to shift, we have to be patient and we have to plan. That's the card for the 4th, is the week of the 4th, I should say, is patience and planning, and having a really stable foundation in your life to create that which you desire. So if there's chaos around you or things that are happening in the collective that you're like, oh, this does not feel good, what would it feel like to actually trust that stuff is happening so that something new can be birthed from it? The birth canal is expansion, contraction. It's not always just like smooth sailing. Sometimes But what if that dark night of the soul that's happening is allowing for everybody to get deep clarity on what they want in their lives? What does it look like to have full sovereignty over yourself? Because if you don't have sovereignty right now and you don't have resiliency, you're going to be tossed. It's like a wave. It's like you're going to be tossed in the waves and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I feel uncentered and ungrounded. So this week that we're going into with the 4th is all about getting grounded, finding your, your spiritual center, thinking about your life in a very 3D way, like in the material realms, like what do I want? What do I want to create? If I were to shift things up, like I was saying earlier, because this is my second Soulcast I've done, I was saying maybe, in the material realm, you want to create a garden, a sustainable garden. Maybe you are planning for a future where, you want to make your own food. Maybe you want to shift how you work with money. Like this is a time to really get clear on how am I operating within the realms of my universe? Like what am I doing? And if I want to have more money, how could I befriend money? How could I work with my money better? So this is a planning week. It's like getting organized, getting things together. It's also a week of subtraction. So what I mean by that is if spiritual strength is our card for the month, then you bet that you're going to have to subtract out of your reality the things that are not supportive of you at your highest. So if social media downs you out, if, it takes you out of your center, if you're around people that that make you feel kind of ungrounded, like just be mindful. It's like mindful awareness of what's happening in your reality so that you can feel grounded, because there's like a sticky energy right now where there's a lot of what's a good way to say it? Because sticky to you might be like, what is she talking about? It's like the resistance, it's the triggers. There's a lot of triggering energy. So instead of letting yourself like walk into a place with a bunch of booby traps, like maybe know that the more grounded you are in your life and the more focused you are on where you want to go in all aspects, then you're going to find that your journeys, it's much more, you're going to be much more capable of doing it. And I'm not saying this is bad. This isn't about energy. It's just patience and planning. If you're going to be, patience means you're going to get glimpses and synchronicity showing you that you're on the right path for the things that you are working on, but it's not come to fruition just yet. That's okay, right? We're working towards things. We're working towards things and we're trying to stay in alignment, and we're like, see the wins this week. See the wins and make sure you're taking really good care of yourself. Really, really amazing self-care for this one, especially since we have the spiritual strength card. The other thing I want to say about this, being that there is like astrology-wise a Pluto retrograde around the 4th, there's just a lot happening with the United States. And when things are challenging, it's easy to think about where things could go in a way that feels dark. My invitation to you as a futurist, and what I would, teach in my futuring classes, is what would it look like to imagine what you want to see versus what you don't want to see. Like I think we spend so much time, like if you go on social media, there's so many people posting, they're angry, they're mad. Be angry, be mad. Also, could you envision a future of better than what we have now? And how do we get there? Well, we have to be in the frequency of what we desire. So thinking about that too, not just playing in the heaviness and the darkness, because it's easy to create a dark future when you're in dark thoughts, when you're like, oh my God, what's happening to this world? Because believe me, as a woman, I'm paying attention to all this stuff that's happening. I'm going, wow, what's needed of me right now? And sometimes I feel just like maybe you might feel a little bit like hopeless or helpless. And it doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on. This is not I'm not going to talk about that. But what I am saying is anything that you want to see happen, be the energy of it. Rise beyond the duality, because that's kind of, it's like there's always something happening now where it's like causing division and separation. It's like rise above it, when you can, because this isn't spiritual bypassing, you can be angry, but also, what do you want to envision for the future? That's the patience and planning. Seeing and forecasting for yourself, okay, I want there to be a brilliant future where this happens. So this is your week to really, and I would also, because we're at that halfway mark of the year, like I would also definitely like tune into like, what am I going to have? What do I want to create for the next 6 months before the end of the year? Where am I tracking? What am I doing? What does that look like? So your work goals, your family goals, you know, your fitness goals, your health, all that kind of stuff, like really get deep clarity. Okay. And then, the following week, because I already pulled cards for this, and I hope I can remember what I was saying about this because it was really potent, was the Passion Ignited card. Passion Ignited. So it's a woman that's like lit up. So there's a little bit of a feeling of like the divine feminine energy, like the mother energy I'm still kind of tuning into. Imagine if you gave yourself full permission to follow your excitement and joy. And you're going to need it. You're going to need it because right now there's just a lot going on. So what would it look like to follow your excitement and your joy and be like, okay, these are the things that are exciting me. This passion project, this thing, and it doesn't have to be your work or anything. It could be take a salsa class, do whatever you want that makes you feel alive. Like what is alive for you right now? Like that week, this week of the 11th, what is alive for you? Because it feels very much that we're living in a time, this sounds so dramatic, we're living in a time where you've got to know how to make yourself happy. You've got to be able to resource within yourself and find your inner child. Find that part of you that knows what it's going to take to feel really good. And move forward on those things, because this to me is a very like a creative expression, a stepping into your power through what lights you up, what's a fuck yes for you in your life, you know, and that's the truth. What would it look like to stop settling in your life and stop just doing things because you have to? I mean, I know there's mundane chores that we have to do and all that kind of stuff, but this is really about following your excitement and what is going to make you feel really ignited. When I was tuning into this earlier, I saw the throat chakra, and I always see the throat chakra as, you know, where we architect our lives. You know, what you speak creates realities. And where you put your attention and where you're putting your excitement and your joy is going to create a lot for you. So if the card is spiritual strength for the month, you want to be able to have some time to architect and create from your joy, not from fear. Because that's what's happening right now, is everybody's accessing so much fear in their body and this feeling of, you know, just things shifting and uncertainty and all this kind of stuff. So when you can access within yourself this higher octave of passion and excitement, that's when you start to birth the new things into the world. And this is a week, you know, if the last week, you know, is patience and planning, then this is a week of like, okay, let's move some things through the birth canal. Let me say yes to this project. Let me get excited because I can see movement happening. And I see a lot of sacral chakra energy for this one. Like so much energy of flow and movement and feminine energy. I think this is the week, let me double check, but I want to say this is the full moon in Capricorn is going to happen, I think, on the 13th. Yeah, the 13th is the full moon in Capricorn. And Capricorn is the goat. It's moving up. And so how could you infuse the things that you're doing in your life with some excitement and joy? So if it's your work, if it's your workout, if it's your relationship, what would it look like to have some fun in it? Because you're going to get a chance to celebrate and look at what you're climbing. Because the Capricorn energy is not only is it grounding, but it feels very sturdy to me. And it's like, okay, where are we tracking? What are we doing? Let's keep going. And there feels like this feminine flow of sensuality. And sensuality, to me, and I think this is going to be really important right now, is getting lost in the pleasure of your body. So think of like that dinner that you can have somewhere with the beautiful sunset, and whether you're looking at mountains or oceans or whatever you get to look at, and maybe you're with your beloved and you're having like a great glass of wine and great conversation, whether it's a friend, whoever, and you get so lost in the moment and so excited about what's possible for you that you're just like, you're in complete flow with the universe, with life. You get to be a channel of life moving through you. And that's what this week is all about, is losing yourself in the moments and seeing your body as a conduit, as a vehicle to move you forward through how you feel. And I can't even say it enough. Find the joy and excitement in your life, because it's going to give you the fuel to move through some of the things that are happening in reality. I don't see things getting lighter necessarily. I see us getting stronger. Hey, Christina, I see us literally as a collective becoming more like able to handle all the things that are happening and being like, you know what? This reality that I've been living in, there's some messed up parts of it. What would it look like to be so on fire for life, despite what's happening, that my frequency creates a ripple in the quantum field and starts to help change things? That's what I want you to get excited about. The level of possibilities that are available to you right now when you tune into what is your highest. And bring those forward, like bring that from your sacral chakra up to your throat and speak that into reality. Create, co-create, I should say. Okay. So for that week of the 18th, I pulled a card, but I'm going to pull another card. And I'm going to kind of say to both of the cards, because now I'm getting back to where I was cut off before. So now I want to kind of share. So let's see, and I'll show you the card. Oh, fulfillment of, I can't talk, fulfillment of wishes. And the card that I pulled before was spiritual strength. So I felt, and it was so weird, you guys, I got like cut off, like in between. So I was like, this isn't something, it was kind of like the energy wasn't correct. And so I want to bring the spiritual strength card into it, because it was the second time it was pulled for the month. And then it was also, I got it for the week of the 18th, but it felt like it wasn't, follow me. It was like a reiteration of like, yes, you have to be taking really good care of yourself. Yes, you have to be, staying in your center. So we get to the fulfillment of wishes, which to me, I love this card. This is always like, this card lights me up inside, because it's how wide can you open your arms to receive? If you're following your passions in life and you're getting really excited about the future that you're creating, despite what's happening, then you're tuned into the fact that you can co-create. Why is it during these times where there's like recessions and different things happening, there's some people that just absolutely thrive? It's because they're not getting tossed around in the energetic soup. They're staying aligned with where they're going in their reality. So this card is that energy. It's saying, okay, pay attention to everything, but also what do you want to receive? And this week of the 18th, you're going to receive some amazing things. The more centered and grounded you are, the more that you're going to be like, oh my gosh, life is so good right now. Life is incredible. I'm having all these things happening that are showing up, and I got a wish, a few wishes coming true. So this feels like you might get some level of like something dropping in your field that's like a certain, like I want to call it a certainty, which does not make sense, but some form of certainty that you are on the right path. Because the spiritual strength card is all about keep going, you're on path, the miracle is right around the corner. So there's this week, there's glimpses and there's joy and there's fun. So I want you the week of the 18th to have a strong spiritual game, which means you don't get in the way of the how. the greatest things that have happened in my life, I'm blown away how they happen. Meeting my boyfriend, it was like crazy how he dropped in, like God was like, boop, there you go. I'm going to drop him in your reality, right? For both of us. But it's like, you never know how things are going to happen. And so instead of trying to figure out and micromanage that, be really clear on what it is you want to receive. And if you were having the patience and planning at the beginning of this next week of the 4th, and then the following week having your passion ignited and being really excited and living that, this is your kind of like, oh yeah, things are happening. I feel good. I feel excited. This also feels very fun to me. I feel like you're going to find the moments of joy and excitement and friendship and good times and barbecues or whatever. I mean, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere. But just this energy of connection. And I get this sense of heart healing. Sometimes in order to receive the next level, it's what I was saying about the dark night of the soul. You go through the dark night of the soul and you think, I'm never like gonna get through this, or this is awful, I'm suffering. You're down on your knees, you're praying, please let this be over. But when it is over, and you have learned the thing that you needed to learn, and you shift it internally and have a different mindset, you're able to receive. You receive that thing that maybe was elusive to you before because you weren't at the right vibrational frequency. And so this card is telling me your heart healing, your ability to let go of something, your ability to forgive, your ability to move past the things that have kept you stuck in the past, the stories and the beliefs about yourself. I always talk about this because we create so much of our reality based on, well, I'm not this or I'm not that, and why isn't this happening for me? It's like, trust. That's the spiritual strength card. We have to trust the process. So allow yourself, like if you're wanting something in your reality, and I'll use money because everyone loves money. If you want money in your reality, you're like, why am I not bringing in the money? Just ask yourself a very simple question. Where is my resistance? What are the stories and beliefs that I'm harboring? Maybe unconscious in my blind spot, but just be with it. Like meditate, like make it a meditation for the week. Like pick the one area you want your biggest dream and wish in. And ask yourself, ask your higher self, ask God, what is the thing that's blocking me from receiving? What do I need to heal, let go of, or forgive, or accept, or move energy so that I can open my arms wide to receive that which I know I am worthy of? Because you're worthy of everything. God does not play a small game. I always say this. God plays a big game. The big game. And if things aren't happening for you exactly in the time frame that you desire, you better buckle up, because it doesn't always work on our timing, right? That's why it's like the spiritual strength card is so helpful, because it's like, well, you're almost there. You've got it. Like, don't give up, because some of your little dreams are going to come true. Okay, so that's the 18th. And then on the 19th, Chiron moves retrograde. And then Pluto's already in retrograde. So Chiron, is the wounded healer. And I don't want to get too much into astrology, but I would, if you are an astrology person, look in your chart and see where your Chiron, what house your Chiron is in. And that's the area that your whole life you're going to be working on. And this is, with Chiron going retrograde, you're going to get a chance to review and to evaluate and all that kind of stuff, and just get like a deeper understanding of what's happening. So it's good. Okay, so for the last week, the 25th, let's see what our card is. So this is the Wisdom card, but it's also the Hierophant in the traditional tarot. And this card, to me, it kind of goes with what I was just saying about beliefs and who you think you are and the identities that you've created thus far to get to where you're at. So I want you to think about your identities this week. What are you really attached to? That, whether you're like, I'm a coach, I'm a healer, I'm a mom, I'm a this, I'm a that. And it's like, I love all of it. And Are any of those identities limiting to you? Do they make you think that you have to behave in a certain way? Do they create a persona that you have to live up to? So I'm hearing that this is the week to bust personas. Like, get over the thought that you need to be okay, let me say it like this. Be congruent in all areas of your life. So if I say I'm a mentor that helps people have embodied soul leadership, am I just showing up online and being that person, or am I that person behind closed doors too? I am that person behind closed doors as well. And so I have to check myself too and make sure that I'm on path for what I'm doing, but I don't get so caught up in this persona. You know, you see, especially if you're in the coaching industry, you see there's so much personas. It's like, get over yourselves, like, please. I see so many things right now. I'm just going to say this and name it. There's so much happening right now where people are like, look at me and all the money I make and all the things I do. And don't you want to be me? They're selling this like image and persona, and it's a bunch of crap, honestly. You know what I'm selling is I'm going to help you be you. Whatever that authentic version of you is. I don't care if you who am I to think that you need to be living my life? Everybody has their own blueprint, their own ability to co-create their best reality. So when you think about these, just the way the world is working right now, don't get caught up in the illusion. Because this is about questioning what you subscribe to. This is about questioning the groups that you subscribe to. Are they like-minded people? Are they helping you? Are they teaching you? This is also the teacher becomes a student becomes a teacher. And I'm sorry, but one thing I've learned on this path that I'm on, I've never called myself a guru. I never will. And I think that we all have gifts and we all have abilities to do so many different things. But when somebody gets so caught up in their spiritual power that is from their ego, and they're selling an identity, or they think that they have something that somebody else doesn't, that's an illusion. We all have it. It's just some people have activated it. So somebody else may have activated their ability to make money. You may not have activated it yet. Or somebody else has, the relationship that you dream of. They activated it already. You have it in you. Anything you see in another person that you admire, you have that too. We aren't separate then. We are actually more similar. And even the shadows, that's what's really hard about what's happening right now on the planet, is like we're seeing so much shadow. But we have shadow within us. So this is a week to bust your limitations, to bust the personas, and just be your most authentic self. Like, celebrate who you are. Because that's part of the spiritual strength. Like, when you could really be like, I am resolute with who I am. And it could change. It changes over time as you evolve. But don't allow yourself to be in subscribing to places where you're going to limit yourself. Number one, be willing to let go of the things that do limit you. And as well, look around you and see what you're saying yes to. Like, what are you subscribing to that might be keeping you building in this belief that somebody's better than you or has something that you don't. Of course, some people have achieved things. Like I always say, Tiger Woods practices every day and he's an amazing golfer, right? And he goes at, and if you went on the golf course and tried to do that, you might not, unless you got some natural talent, you're not going to be able to golf like him. But he practices it. He tries at it. So don't fall for the illusions right now. There's so much illusion that's happening. And Spirit is really like, it's time to get clear, people. Like, it's time, like, don't follow false gurus. Don't get lost in this thing of like, I'm not good enough. And why does this person have this and I don't, and all this stuff. It's like, stop. Go internal and do your work. Do your work. And your work means like, find what makes you happy. Find your truth. Follow it. Take some action. Trust your intuition. Trust your relationship with Source, God, whatever you want to call it. Because that's when you become more embodied. And what I was going to say earlier about the teacher becomes the student, vice versa. I teach a lot, and I'm also a student in many different ways in my life. I don't think I know it all. Nobody knows it all. As a matter of fact, the more I learn, the more I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know, because the universe is so vast. And I don't need to know it all. I just need to know what my truth is in my next step. And that's what you need to know too. Because that is going to be what helps you like feel really grounded. And so this week, you know, when it comes to your wisdom, this is about, I love the gene key that goes from inadequacy to wisdom through resourcefulness. Really thinking about, like Richard Rudd talks about the well and like kind of going into inadequacy is not knowing the answers. But what if you do know the answers? What if you've always known the answers? What if the answers are in you and you just haven't taken the time to receive them? So I really invite you this week to start seeing yourself as this wise being that if you can sit still long enough and in the quiet of your heart and soul, you can resource the wisdom that you need that's going to help you have this spiritual strength to move forward with your dreams, to move forward. And you'll notice I always say your dreams and your future because I'm a futurist. Like I'm sorry, but like I don't live in the past. Like I have things from the past that have helped me, but I'm here because I want humanity to become better, right? We all do. And it only becomes better when we become better, when you and I become better. And this month feels like it's rich with lots of opportunities to not get lost in a sea of chaos and to just be like, okay, I know my center. I know what I'm working towards. I'm seeing things moving along. And so I'm excited for whatever wisdom you're going to resource this last week of July and how it's going to help you just to become more dynamic and really elevated as to where you're moving towards in your life. So thanks for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. If you have questions, I just want to mention really quick 2 things. If you want to come play with me, I'm hosting 2 retreats with Whitney Yarnell. One is August 25th through the 28th. It's in Valley Center, which is near San Diego, California. And it's going to be an incredible retreat. We have a shaman coming in to help with some medicine work. Amazing retreat. And then we have one in November, which is, I believe, it's like oh my gosh, I should know the dates. I want to say the 4th through the 8th. It's the first weekend of November at Lemuria in Maui, and that one's all about super abundance. So the first one's soul remembrance, like really seeing your shadow self. The second one is all about abundance and stepping into your next level. And so if you want to know more about those retreats, go to the link in my profile and you can learn more, or you can message me. So fun hanging out with you. Love you all. Have a beautiful, beautiful July. Don't let the world take you away from what you're creating, because we forget what co-creators we are. We really do. And we need to be stronger than we've ever been. And when we have that strength within ourselves, you're going to be surprised at what you're able to do. Okay, see you next month.